All right, guys. So I just came out from finishing watching the Fantastic Four, and this is going to be my out of the theater movie reaction. And I think that Marvel did it. I think that Marvel is back. I think that Marvel did what they had to do, and we saw Brave New World, and we're like, okay, it was all right. It was decent, a little mid. I would give it like a 7 out of 10, maybe a little bit lower. I would say 6 out of 10, but it wasn't up to the Marvel standards. And so we're like, okay, when is Marvel going to actually be back? Because we're like a year and a half away from Doomsday, right? We need to have more hype being built. We need more movies that shows why we need to come to the theaters and watch the movie, right? Like why, like that, those feelings of, watching Captain Marvel and all those other Thor Ragnarok, all those other movies before we saw Infinity War and Endgame was hyping us up. We're like, okay, I want to be there. I want to go to the theater, and I can't wait for Infinity War. I can't wait for Endgame. And we were just amazed. Seeing Brave New World earlier this year, I was just like, okay, but like, what's next? Like, is there anything else? Right? So then Thunderbolts came, and I'm like, okay, Marvel is actually giving us the flavor, the taste. We felt like we cared about these characters, and especially when they came out with that post-credit scene of the Fantastic Four and their ship going on to their Earth and stuff like that. I'm like, okay, something is going on here, right? These things are finally starting to connect. I'm connected with the characters of Thunderbolts, and I can't wait to see what happens in the Fantastic Four movie. All right, so now we got into the Fantastic Four film, the third film of this year of 2025, and like I've said, I think that they did it. They did it. This is like Thunderbolts, but injected with steroids, because we cared about Thunderbolts, right? We loved the characters. We've had that connection with them, but we still wanted that awe, right? The the magic, right? We wanted the, oh my God, like look how beautiful that is. Look how the chemistry, look at the story, the villains, like everything. We got that with the Fantastic Four. All right, we got that. When I stepped into the theater and I went to go see it at AMC Theater in San Francisco, Metreon, I was like, bro, first of all, the screen was so freaking big. I have never seen something that big, because usually, pause, I don't know why I said that. But yeah, I never seen a screen that big, because I usually go to a Cinemark, and Cinemark don't carry the exact same, like formats, like sizes, compared to like an AMC one. So when I went there, I'm like, oh my God, like this is going to be a show. Like this screen is amazing. And the reason why that's important is because when Galactus first showed up in this movie, I was just like in complete awe, because first of all, the screen was like large. It was like super high. They filmed Galactus in a way where you were forced to look at that character and that villain like this. Like literally, I was like this. Like if he was actually that big, like I was actually looking like and acting like Galactus was that huge, because he was. I was looking up like this, like, oh my God, bro, like Galactus is freaking huge. That whole thing about, when Galactus went up against the Fantastic Four for the first time, where the Fantastic Four went up and stepped up to Galactus for the first time inside their spaceship. Galactus looked so intimidating. And there was a sequence in that movie, right? I'm going to get into like very specific spoilers now. FYI, just so you guys know, like when I do like these movie reviews, I'm not out here trying to like say like, okay, I'm gonna be very careful with spoilers and stuff like that. I have to go straight in, because it's impossible for me to talk about a movie without like talking about spoilers. So we're gonna do this, right? But there was a sequence in this movie where like, Galactus, like he showed up, his eyes started glowing, and he saw the Fantastic Four step back a little because they felt intimidated. They're like, holy crap, this guy is freaking huge. And it's funny because I remember the conversation that Johnny Storm and the Thing had before they were gonna go meet Galactus, because they were talking about like, oh yeah, it was I'm gonna like mess up the lines, but they were like, oh yeah, he's like maybe like our size or something, we're just gonna punch him. And they were like, yeah dude, like yeah. And then like you know what I mean. So they thought that Galactus was like some sort of like 6-foot character, but he's not. He's like a 6,000 mile foot character or something crazy like that, right? So they went up to him and they were just like in awe, looking up, just like this, exactly how we all were in the theater. He was intimidating. The voice, right, when he spoke, you felt your seats vibrating, and the director did a phenomenal job on portraying just how big and intimidating Galactus is. It was amazing. So there's that. And then that whole space sequence of them going to Galactus' ship and then trying to run away because, Galactus was like, give me your baby, Franklin, and I will spare your world. I will not eat your world. That whole thing about like, what's her name? Sue Storm and Reed Richards were like, bro, hell no, we're not going to give you the freaking baby. Hell no. Like, yeah, we want to save our world, but like, no, Hell no. I want this is our child, so it's not gonna happen. So Galactus was like, okay, then fine. Screw you guys. I will kill your guys' world and I'll kill you guys here. Just like that. And so the moment Galactus knew about that message and they knew about the Fantastic Four's response, he tried to go after them. And the Fantastic Four, they had to like run and go straight to the ship, try to get away from this from Galactus' presence, and that whole thing about, you know, them going through space, and there was like a bunch of fire that was going around, and you saw like the Shalabal, I think that's her name. The fact that she was surfing through everything, trying to catch the Fantastic Four in their ship, that whole thing was amazing. And I don't know if you guys have noticed, but there was a moment also when Shalabal was so close on getting Franklin that her hand went straight into the belly of Sue Storm, like inside, because, you know, that's one of the powers that she has. She can go through things. And I don't know if that had some sort of effect on Franklin. All right, the fact that Shalabal touched the baby, because literally you can see there was a moment where her hand went through through Sue Storm's belly, and so it was that close. But then just out of nowhere, they, what's his name? The Human Torch. He found the right time to make the ship go boom, like through this thing. I don't know what these terms are called, but it's a ship, and they have a machine, and that machine just teleports them, makes them travel at high speeds through a different galaxy or a different like universe or whatever. And yeah, they did that just in time before Chalabal got Franklin and then got the baby and stuff like that. It was emotional as well, because as soon as the chase was over, Sue Storm had to give birth. It was done. She was like, I have to do this. Like, I can't handle this anymore. The baby's gonna be born in this spaceship in the middle of the universe. You know what I'm saying? And it was emotional from there. So very high stakes, very intense. You were getting sweaty because you're like, oh my god, are they gonna make it? Are they gonna run away from Shalabal successfully? And they were just going at high speeds, and you felt the high speed and everything. But they made it. They came back down to earth, and you know, they walked out. And it's funny because all the journalists and the press were like, yeah, you defeated Galactus, right? Like, yeah, let's do this, like, as always, right? Like, how did you defeat Galactus? How did it go, right? Because they were just so used to the Fantastic Four winning. But for the first time, I do think, based off what the movie was portraying, was, you know, the Fantastic Four for the first time could not solve a problem. For the first time. And to the press and to the media, the journalists, they did not find that okay. They were like, what? What are you talking about? You guys always win. You guys always find a solution to protect this world. And now you're telling me that our world is going to get demolished because you guys just couldn't beat him on the first try? Like, are you guys going to even try? And was there some sort of deal that you guys have to make? And that is when Reed Richards has to come in and say, like, yeah, there was a deal that Galactus showed to us, and they said that we had to give up our baby in exchange for the safety of this world. And it's funny because, like, the media and the people, they're like, okay, so do it, switch, right? Like, switch, give Galactus the baby, and we'll be okay. And obviously, you know, Sue Storm was the one that stated, hell no, this is not gonna happen. Like, there's no way. This is my baby. I will never trade the world for my baby. As she should, right? Because she is the mother, right? Like, the mother is always gonna act in their best selves, like in their most strongest form, when they know that their baby, their son, is on the line, right? You can even see that in the real world today. All right, so they will do anything. They don't care if they have to sacrifice billions and billions of people. They do not want to have anybody touch their baby or their son. Yeah, so I think it's safe to assume that the public, they were not cool with the Fantastic Four when they knew that was their response, and they wanted that exchange. The world wanted to feel safe. They were scared for the first time in a very long time. Not a very long time, but like ever, right? Because in the beginning sequence, in the first few minutes of the movie, it was just showing, you know, a bunch of clips of the Fantastic Four saving the world over and over again. And they're like, okay, yeah, Fantastic Four, they did it. Woo! Like, you know, they have flags and everything. And, you know, you can just tell that the world adored the Fantastic Four. Because that's all they had. It's not like they had Spider-Man in the other corner and the Punisher in the other corner, Daredevil, and or I don't know, like Iron Man, Captain America. They didn't have that. It was just one group of superheroes, which is the Fantastic Four, in that world, and that's it. They had nothing else. You know, as we fast track, right? Reed was trying to look for all of these other different possibilities and stuff like that. You know what's crazy? You know what I find so crazy about this is that, and this is what really shows, right? This is what really shows what type of character Reed actually is. And I'm not gonna say that Reed is evil, but I can see why, because it's in the comics. But sometimes Reed gets a little ahead of himself. Like he has those little small thoughts of, I would just say, not pettiness. I can't find the right word, but I guess a slight thought of evil, or like a little bit, like, and I'm gonna explain why. Because there was this scene where he was actually like it was showing us that he was thinking about maybe sacrificing the baby for the world, because he did some calculations. He was like, they were on the dinner table and he was like, it's ethical, it makes sense, and it's our only option, right? Because they have, like, the media, the people, the public, they have an answer, and they say to save this world, give up the baby, and we don't have an answer. So which one makes more sense? Is it our side or their side? And he was thinking about that. Like he had that moment of thinking about like giving up their baby just for a little. Like he was making calculations. And to Sue Storm, that's why she was mad. She was like, no way. You actually thought about this? This actually crossed your mind even for a second? Because like to Sue Storm, not even for a second did it cross her mind to give up her baby for the earth. Never. But to Reed, it was like just for a second. And that right there is just enough to showcase what type of character and person he is, right? I'm not trying to paint this picture that he's like some evil character that would do some immoral things, but it does cross his mind. And so you can see the differences between Reed and Sue Storm. Sue Storm doesn't even cross her mind. It's not even like, it doesn't even make sense. Like, what? Like, why even think about like giving up your baby for the world? So Galactus doesn't consume this world. And so there goes that option. That it did not go through, right? It was just a thought, and that's it. And there was also this other option where Shalla was speaking to, I forgot who it was, because I only saw this one time. I just came back from the movie theater, so I'm trying to like remember everything. But there was this other option, and I like how Matt Shackman was really trying to like show what options they had through the movie, so we can make up our minds ourselves. But so there was this other option where Shalla was like speaking to one of the Fantastic Four members. I forgot who it was, but she was like, just leave this world. Leave. Take the baby and leave, and let Galactus eat this world. Just do it, right? And once again, Reed was actually thinking about it. He was like it just crossed his mind. Like you could tell, like if you go back to the movie, he thought about it just for a second, right? But then like a few seconds later, he's like, no, we can't do that. That it's just, even in our perspective, if they were to have done that and Matt Shackman was like, okay, we're going to go with this storyline. We're going to have the Fantastic Four just leave this Earth and have them go to 616 and done. Their whole world is dusted. It would just make the Fantastic Four look like murderers, like betrayers, like just fake, petty people that don't care and only care about themselves. So I'm glad that they did not take that route. That was one of the theories that many people had on Twitter and on Instagram and on Facebook and everywhere. Right before the movie came out, everybody was saying like, "Oh my God, the Fantastic Four, they're gonna leave the world, or they're gonna fail to save their world and go to Earth 616 with the MCU, and that's it, done. And they're gonna try and get revenge, right, when Doomsday comes, right, and the movie comes, and they have another opportunity to save a different world." But that was not gonna happen, bro. Like, I knew that was not gonna happen because it was just too dark. Can you imagine if if the movie ended like that? If the movie ended with Galactus consuming their world and they travel to Earth 616 and it ends like that? I don't think so, bro. Like, everybody especially thought that when they saw the Fantastic Four ship at the end of the Thunderbolts movie, in the post-credit scene, when they saw the Fantastic Four ship cross their solar system. Every person, I saw everybody on the comments saying that this is what's going to happen, but I did not think that was going to happen at all. I do think that segment there, that post-credit scene that we saw in Thunderbolts and the Fantastic Four ship, it takes place completely after the I would just say after the Doctor Doom post-credit scene. I think that the Fantastic Four are in that ship and they're going to Earth 616 because they find out that Franklin Richards and Doctor Doom are on Earth 616 and they're trying to find their son again. Right? Not again. I mean, yeah, again, because I guess because Galactus at one point had Franklin Richards in his hand, but they're trying to go look for. I think that's what I believe is going on. The Fantastic Four, when we saw them in the ship going across Earth 616, is because they're trying to look for Franklin Richards because Doctor Doom has Franklin Richards. So I know I'm going everywhere right now because this is what happens when you come out straight out of the theater and you're so hyped and you saw just a bunch of things and it was just freaking crazy, right? But I'm going everywhere, but let me go back to where I was at before. So there was this other solution, right, that was showcased, which was the fact that Reed Richards was saying, okay, if we can transport this egg and if we can move it 20 feet across the room, we can definitely just have just bigger, I don't know what you call those, transporters, right? Transporter buildings, I'm gonna just call it that. We can definitely have that across the whole freaking world, and we can transport the Earth. Transport the Earth and move the Earth to a different segment in the galaxy or in the universe, and it would take billions of years for Galactus to find it, right? And I'm like, bro, there's no way they're gonna do this. You know, when I first heard that, and I first heard about that theory, I'm like, okay, cool, I know what's gonna happen here. Reed Richards is gonna transport the whole freaking Earth to next to Earth 616, that universe. I'm like, okay, cool. So the Earth is gonna go there, it's gonna cause an incursion or whatever, and that's how they meet. But no, that did not end up happening, because we saw in a later scene where Shalabal came in and just started destroying all of the projectors and transporters. Transporters across the freaking Earth, just like that, like very much like a Sonic 3 sequence when we saw Sonic and the other Black Sonic, I forgot, Shadow, when they were going through the Earth, like fighting each other just like that, like billions of miles per hour, like boom, 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 like a ping pong, boom, 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 like that. The Silver Surfer, Shalabal, had the exact same thing, but just destroying freaking the teleporters and stuff, just through Russia, through freaking Belgium, the United States, to France, like everywhere, right? After years of building that, right? I don't know how long it took for the world to build all of those teleporters across the world, but I'm gonna just assume that it took like maybe like a week or a few days. But after so much hard work, she just came in and said, boom, 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 done, destroyed. And so at that point, Reed Richards was like, just like, I don't know, like we had all of these options, and this was the only option that I could have thought of, and I don't know, like there was just no other answer. And so then, like a few scenes later, we saw that one of the things that they wanted to do was to psych Galactus, right? To bring Galactus here to New York and have the baby in this little area where there's also the teleporters, right? And one of the things that they wanted to do was to have the Human Torch basically blind Galactus by throwing fire at his eyes. He's like, whatever, he cannot see. And then quickly switch Franklin Richards with another basket. Like take off Franklin Richards, put another basket in there that does not contain Franklin Richards, and then move Franklin Richards into the Baxter building and get protected by Herbie. And then Galactus still thought that Franklin was there in that original basket, in the original location. So he went there and he's like, wait a minute, before he was gonna step there, because that was a teleporter, the plan was for them to teleport Galactus to somewhere random, like billions of miles away, right? Before he was about to step there, he's like, wait a minute, right? It was like for a moment he was like mid-air, like his foot was mid-air. He's like, wait a minute, before I step here, let me make sure that he's there. He scanned, not there. He scanned somewhere else. It was in the Baxter building, and he's like, intelligent beings, or I don't know what he said, but then he's like, or like smart people. I don't know what he said under his breath. But then he found out that Franklin Richards was in the Baxter building. He went to the Baxter building. Got him successfully. It's funny because Herbie was trying to defend Franklin Richards against Galactus, and it was funny because he's like, no. I really wanted a scene where he was gonna try to punch Galactus with his little hands, like but he wasn't gonna do anything. But it was funny. Yeah, fast forward. We're gonna fast forward a few scenes later, and then Galactus had Franklin Richards on his hand, and Sue Storm, knowing Sue Storm, the protection of the mother, she got the best out of herself by using a huge force field that pushed Galactus to the teleporter section in New York, and just using her power, she was like boom, like all the power that she could. I'm glad that no blood came out of her nose like what we saw back in 2005, but she was using all of her power. She was so overwhelmed. But it showcased, right, like when things are really on the line for her, and she knows that her son is in so much danger, she got the best out of herself, and she was showcasing her true powers. It came to a point where like Reed and the Thing and the Human Torch were like Sue, stop. Like they said that for a second. They're like, wait, like Sue, stop, like relax. But she said no. It's like, go get Franklin as I do this. And so they listened, and they went on to go get Franklin. They got him successfully, and Sue was just like freaking pushing the freak out of Galactus into the I would just say the portal section where they were trying to like teleport Galactus to a different area in the universe and stuff like that. But it was just badass the way that Sue Storm was just I never saw her that powerful in live action, and they successfully did it. Galactus went into that I would just say black hole or something, right? And he was about to get out, dude. Like Galactus was about to get out from the black hole because that thing sucks you the freak in, dude. And Galactus still had the capacity to come out, showcases how strong he actually is. But then just out of nowhere, Human Torch was like, okay, this is my sacrifice moment. This is it. I have to do this. And so Human Torch is like, tell my family I love them or something crazy like that. He goes straight to Galactus with the intention of trying to push Galactus into that black hole, but just out of nowhere, Shalla comes in, pushes the Human Torch because of that connection that Shalla and the Human Torch were creating through the movie. And she says, no, this is my sacrifice. And then so she came in, pushed the Human Torch, and she was the one that pushed Galactus into the black hole, and they went in there together. And then boom, the movie is done. So all in all, I think that when you look at from the moment Shalla came from the sky and made that announcement, I herald your Earth, I herald whatever, right? From that moment up until the very end, the one thing that I really do appreciate from all of this is that I actually felt the stakes. I felt the pressure. I felt like the world was in danger, and I felt like I cared about what the Earth was going to go through. You felt like the magnitude was high. The stakes were high. The responsibilities were high. You felt that. We did not feel that world-ending type of threat in Quantumania, that world-ending type of threat in the Marvels, that world-ending type of threat in Brave New World, even though there was a celestial coming out from the freaking ocean, or a freaking Red Hulk ready to destroy the whole freaking world or whatever. Like there was going to be a World War III. That was damn near about to happen, but no one really cared. I did not really care. I did not feel the massive threat. I did not feel the world-ending stakes. But here in the Fantastic Four film, I felt that, and a lot of people bought into it. In my theater, bro, everybody that was next to me were like locked in. Like it was like that one meme, you know how like you're sitting down like this, and then like when you know you're locked in when you sit up like that, and you have to like pay attention. Like, okay, it's going down. I was locked in. Like I was locked in from the very beginning, dude, and I really wanted the Fantastic Four to win, because it came to a point where the public was going against the Fantastic Four. And so it was crazy, dude. Like I really felt the magnitude of the threat of Galactus. And I really also think part of the reason why it sold for us a lot is because it was true world building, because they were in a different Earth, a different universe. Matt Shakman had all the creative control on what he wanted that world to be like. And it was fun, dude. I love being in that world. Like I felt like I wanted to hang out there. And I think that's also another reason why it felt very different from other MCU movies, is because we spent so much time over the past 3 to 4 years in that universe that every movie started to feel the same, because it had the exact same theme, right? They could not really change the world building there because there was just one straight type of theme. In this Fantastic Four movie, you can change things. It had a 60s vibe. It was very futuristic. It was funny. It was cool, and people dressed differently. They act differently. It felt more positive in there. It was fun. It was nice. And I think that's what made us like really fall in love with the public and that world, is because you wanted that world to be saved, and you felt the stakes. You felt like, I don't want this world to leave. I don't want the Fantastic Four to just ditch them and go to the MCU, right? And yeah, so now let's step away from that, because you know what's funny? You know what's also funny? Like, okay, so like I spent like 10-15 minutes after the movie speaking to like my other friends about this movie. So like I spoke to them about it for 10 to 15 minutes after the movie, and then I came here to talk about my first impressions. But in those 10 to 15 minutes that I had with my friends to watch the Fantastic Four movie, like after I came out, right, we were not even talking about the movie. We were talking about the post-credit scene, which was about Doctor Doom. And I knew this was gonna happen, dude. I knew this was gonna happen because I saw a leak before, about 4 to 5 weeks ago, and it showed like a piece of paper. It was on Twitter, and it was like a script, and it said Doctor Doom was next to Franklin Richards. Sue Storm left the room only to come back to the room to find Doctor Doom holding Franklin and his mask. And I'm like, nah, that sounds fake. That can't be real. But it ended up being real. But still, even though I knew and I read it, even though I did not think that it was going to happen, I was still in shock when I saw that for some reason. Because, you know what? I think the reason why it kind of hit for everybody is because when Thanos first showed up, it was back in 2012. And we knew that this was going to be a 8 to 9 year run. And so we knew that Thanos was going to come eventually. in a Avengers movie, right? We just had to go through this journey for the next couple of years, and we had a lot of fun. With this new phase in the multiverse, we knew that Doctor Doom was gonna be in Doomsday, right? They're gonna, like, he's gonna be there, and he's gonna be in Secret Wars. He's gonna be the big bad. But we always questioned, when are we gonna see Doctor Doom, right? We're like a year and a half away. When are we gonna see him? It's been we need some character building, some hints. Like, when are we gonna see the first few hints? And we finally got that in the Fantastic Four. And I think that is why it hit us so much, is because we were dying to see our first look, our first flavor, our first taste of Doctor Doom, because he is the big bad for the next Avengers film. I think that, like, when he came in, everybody loved it, because they're like, finally he's here. Like, it's not Kang, it's not any other character, Doctor Doom, and we have been waiting for him, and he's finally here. We saw his cloak, we saw his mask holding Franklin Richards, and I don't know if you guys have noticed, but Franklin Richards was holding not holding, but touching his face. I don't know if Doctor Doom, Victor Von Doom, was trying to have Franklin Richards basically like fix his face, because Franklin has those type of powers. Maybe that could be the reason why we see Robert Downey Jr.'s face in normal form and not in like a disturbed, freaking burnt type of look. Like, we're probably not gonna have that. Maybe that's the reason why he was touching his face. Like, why else? Because, like, it was very specific on what Franklin was doing, which was like literally like touching his face and nothing more. So it's either like he fixes his face because he has a lot of burns and stuff like that, or whatever. Or one of my theories is, what if it's actually a different actor? Like, it's like a different face, and Victor Von Doom is like, I want you to change my face to Tony Stark. Like, what if that's one of my theories that I have? Like, what if, like, Franklin, because of his powers and because he's so powerful, is able to manipulate faces because he can warp reality, right? So what if Victor Von Doom is like, I want you to change my face to not what it looks like right now, because I don't know what he might originally look like. But what if he just says, I want you to make my face like Tony Stark? What if he says that? And that's the reason that explains the reason why Robert Downey Jr. is Doctor Doom, right? Because one of the things that Victor Von Doom is going to want to do potentially is showcase that he is Tony Stark, because Franklin Richards changes his face. And then he goes to the 616 universe, because that is where the Fantastic Four were headed at in the Thunderbolts credit scene. But Victor Von Doom goes to the 616 universe, and then he's like, hey, I'm Tony Stark. Like, it's me, right? And everybody in the Avengers and all the superheroes are like, oh yeah, we recognize you. You're Tony Stark. And he's like, yes, it's me. It's fine. It's all right. I'm fine. Everything's gonna be okay. I'm your guys' friend. He might say, like, I just come from a different universe, and I'm just another variant of Tony Stark, and I'm just here to help you guys. Do not worry, whatever. The multiverse is collapsing. I have the answers. Everything's gonna be all right. But secretly, it's not really Tony Stark in that universe. It's somebody else. So it's like, it's a crazy thing to think about. It's very nerdy. It's something that I have really been like, I've been having a thought, right? It would be crazy, bro. Like, if like their original actor, like the original face of Victor Von Doom, is Cillian Murphy or something crazy like that. But that's gonna be for like a whole other different conversation. I'm gonna end it here. Thank you guys so much for watching. I would say that my final score for this movie is gonna be a 9 out of 10. I loved this movie. I will put this movie next to Deadpool Wolverine. Post Endgame, I'll put this next to Deadpool and Wolverine and Spider-Man No Way Home as my top 3 best movies ever since Endgame. But yeah, that is it. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you guys in the next one.